Moving on to 2A now. Before we kick off, we're going to say what we do in a lot of our previews. You know your team, your area better than us, so if we missed something, feel free to drop that in the comment section down below. Give us your thoughts, anything you thought, hey, you guys missed this or you got this wrong, please let us know because there are a lot of schools to cover. Thank goodness for things like Indiana Football Digest, John Harrell, and Max Preps. That's pretty much where I lived this past weekend, getting all the lowdown on all the teams. So the biggest storyline that I'm looking at is this the year that Linton Stockton finally breaks through? I didn't realize this until I looked into it a little bit more. They've won 20 straight regular season games. They're 23-2 the last two seasons. In 2021, they lost in the sectional to Evansville Mater Dei, and then in 2022, they lost in the semi-state to Evansville Mater Dei, and Evansville Mater Dei absolutely put it on them in that game as well. Last season was their first sectional and regional titles at the 2A level. They finished number 1 in the 8 final AP and coaches poll. They're going to have a new face under center this season. They're without their leading rusher. They're not in IFD's top 12 teams in 2A, but they had some standout performers from some freshman defenders. Some freshman underclassmen helped there defensively. Russell Goodman led the team in tackles with 130. They have Paul Oliver back, who led the team with 7.5 sacks. Maybe a strong defense can help them survive until their offense figures it out in 2023. They've got some strong defense coming back. We've talked about defenses really being able to carry you at times, and I think that might be, some juice that at least keeps the Miners in the conversation.
Yeah, you really want to see it for them just because they've been knocking on that door for so long. And like you said, eventually they're going to break through. This is a school that's just got a really solid athletic department. You see a lot of those in this class, in this class of football. I'm kind of hoping to see it finally happen for them. It'll be a fun story to watch, but one loss last year, finishing the season ranked 5th. I want to see it happen for them. I do. I want to see it happen, but I don't know if I can pick them.
Yeah, I mean, look,
history's not on their side. History's just not on their side. But hey, that's why history's meant to be broken sometimes.
I'm trying to remember because they played in the 1A final the first year that I was at the state finals to cover the finals for Indiana SRN, and I can't remember if they beat Pioneer or if they lost to Pioneer. I think they lost to Pioneer. But yeah, I mean, nevertheless, it just always seems like no matter how far they go, they run into whoever the buzzsaw is at that point in time in the class.
In 2A, there really is a lot of buzzsaws year after year. Whether, last year it was Mater Dei. I mean, Mater Dei is a buzzsaw in a lot of sports. You just have a ton of talent there, Andrian, and then you look down at Lafayette Central Catholic, who's just good at everything. Fort Wayne Bishop Lures. I mean, it's just the list goes on and on and on. So you would like to see Linton Stockton become that buzzsaw finally.
Right.
And it's possible.
You talked about Lafayette Central Catholic. That's where I'm going for toughest sectional. I'm going to sectional 34 because, like you said, Lafayette Central Catholic, that's an athletic department that you don't ever really want to bet against. They always seem to have a top program. They lost to eventual state runner-up in Andrean in the regional last season. They finished in the top 10 in the AP and coaches poll in the class. They've also got a lot of returnees on the squad that went 9-4 last season. They're also IFD's preseason number 3. They're in the sectional with Rochester, who's number 8 in the class according to IFD. They finished number 9 in the 2022 Max Preps final rankings there in 2A. They also return a lot of firepower from a team that won 10 games in 2022. They did lose to LCC in the sectional championship. So those are two teams that are really strong, and they'll duke it out yet again for another sectional championship.
Yeah, that's always a fun one. I mean, Lafayette Central Catholic, they're one of the best teams. You said it, one of the best athletic departments in the entire state. That sectional is going to be just a fun one to watch. Lots of good competition. Yeah, I can't wait to see that one and how that one unfolds.
The player that I'm looking at as my player to watch for 2A, I'm looking at Triton Central senior quarterback Jace Stuckey. He was the leading passer in 2A amongst returnees. Last year, he completed 67% of his passes for 2,657 yards, 23 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. He had 4 games of 3 touchdowns or more, a 5-touchdown effort in Week 1 against Cascade. There's quite a bit of senior leadership on the Tigers' offense. They're IFD's preseason number 2, and if they hope to contend for a state championship, they'll need a strong performance by Stuckey. So I think Stuckey's going to have a strong year for Triton Central. It's, again, kind of like we talked about with East Central, where they just have a lot of good talent coming back. And so I think they're going to be strong contenders, and I think Jay Stuckey's going to be a part of that.
I'm watching Cecina Memorial's senior quarterback, David Mendez. He's a 3-sport athlete, which is always a good thing. You just know that they just have that athletic ability when they're playing more than one sport. Last year, he was the full-time starter for the Crusaders, and when they went 10-2, he completed 49% of his passes for 1,350 yards and 14 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. So not the largest margin there, but because of his athleticism, he was a factor in the running game. Didn't put up a lot of yards, but he was a bigger threat when it came time to the short yardage goal line situations, rushed for 10 touchdowns. So he accounted for 24 touchdowns last season. I'm looking for big things out of him to help keep Cecina Memorial in that conversation for a state championship.
Yeah, Cecina is always, a tough school, to get past as well. So I'm a good one there. Dark horse and state champion for me. My dark horse, I'm going to LaVille. The Lancers are 19-4 the last 2 seasons. They had an undefeated regular season in 2022, losing to Andrean the last 2 years. That's what ended their season. Jeff Kaiser takes the reins as head coach in 2022. He was previously the defensive coordinator for LaVille. The Lancers were 11th in the state defensively last season, allowing just 10 points per game. They're the preseason number 9 team, according to Indiana Football Digest, and if they can harness any of the magic they had last season, especially with the Drake Bowens and the Mason Wunderlichs of the world not in their way anymore, they might just have a chance to open some eyes. So I'm going with the Lancers of LaVille as my dark horse. But as far as my state champion goes, I'm going back to Triton Central. It would be their first state title in program history. The class of 2024 has never lost a sectional. They're a program accustomed to success. They're the preseason number 2, according to IFD. We talked about Jay Stuckey. He comes into 2023 as the best passer in 2A. They also get back their leading rusher, Ray Crawford. He had over 1,100 yards, 15 touchdowns in 2022. They were 8th in the class in defense, allowing 17 points per game. Levi Dewey, he's the team leader in interceptions with 4. He's back. Mason Compton's back, who was the team leader in takeaways with 3 interceptions and 3 fumbles. So they've got a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. They've got a great quarterback under center. That's a fantastic recipe for success, and I think Triton Central hoists the trophy at the end of the year.
I'm going for my dark horse. Yeah, stick with me here for a moment, but I'm going with Heritage Christian. They are returning some solid players on defense. We've looked a lot at these offensive players here in Class 2A, but Colin Jones for Heritage Christian is going to lead a pretty solid defense. He's coming back last year where he made 84 tackles, including 18 for loss and 6 sacks. He's going to be looked at as the leader of that defense. Sometimes when you're going up against some really good offenses, the best thing to counter it with is a solid defense, and I feel like Heritage is going to have that. They're coming off of a 7-4 season last year, and they lost by 1 point to LaPel in the sectional championship. I feel like that's going to kind of burn a little bit inside them to give them a good push this season. And again, this is a program that has success in getting to the state championship in the past. So I'm going to give them my dark horse. However, I am going to go with Cecina Memorial as my state champion. Yeah, a good defense can take you far, but having solid seniors, especially at the quarterback position, I just feel like Cecina, who's constantly there, coming off of a successful season last year, is going to really kind of make that push and bring home the 2A championship this year.
Yeah, I mean, Cecina and Heritage Christian, those are both two, programs that are typically in the conversation. Kyle Ray, what he's done with the Eagles has been really special. So, yeah, those are two teams that I could definitely see, being there at Lucas Oil at the end of the year.